Hey everyone. Well, I want to revisit the topic of this narcissist in my life, my boss at the coffee house. I'm not here to talk about the coffee house, but just the relationship. Um, I guess more of my experience of experiencing a narcissistic personality, and in this case, a malignant micromanaging narcissist. From the perspective of the spiritualist, the spiritualist versus the narcissist, um, there is going to be no winner. And in fact, the narcissist is going to win. Um, yeah, and I say that, I mean, you would have to be a fully, completely enlightened master, I think, to be able to stay grounded, to stay in your true self, to not be affected by the effects of a narcissistic personality. And that, my friends, is certainly not me. Um, yeah, so I kind of have to go back to the beginning. Like in the beginning, um, at at the coffee house, and things started getting really weird, and I was having all kinds of, yeah, reactions, but feeling awful about myself. Like I couldn't understand what this interaction was and how this person made me feel, and I was like, this isn't making sense. And then, of course, a coworker jumped in to the rescue and said, "This person is a narcissist. Here, watch all these videos, and you'll understand." And and still in my mind at that point, I was like, I know people talk about narcissist a lot, and what is that? And I really just didn't know that these creatures exist. Oh my God. And creatures is the correct word in my mind. Um, no, maybe demon, actually. Um, yeah, I really couldn't believe that they existed. But, I started watching all the videos and I was like, yeah, oh, I get it. This is it. She is like every single thing. My boss is definitely a narcissist. And it's very similar, my journey, very similar to the awakening journey, right? I got all the info. Someone was telling me I need to learn this, and I watched all the videos and looked up articles, and I was like, yeah, I get it. I understand. Like the spiritual journey. Read the books, you listen to the teachers, and you go, yeah, I get it. I understand. And um, yeah, I had the information in my brain. I had mental understanding. And I decided, as the spiritualist, like we all do, I'm going to be open. I'm going to give this because I feel like there's got to be a soul in there. There's some goodness. There's obviously pain. Somehow this person's personality was turned into a narcissist. Just total empathy. And I'm going to be present here with you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to try not to be hurt by you. All the stuff that um basically in the spiritual new age, we always try to love everybody, to have empathy, to have whatever. You get it, you do it all the time, while at the same time we are taught as spiritualists we have to take responsibility for everything, and that is true, right? However, when a spiritualist meets a narcissist, man, that combination is like the perfect food for them, their narcissistic supply, because we give them everything. We listen to them, we empathize with them. Me, I was like, yeah, I understand your point of view. Of course, of course, of course. And then also we end up taking all the blame because, yeah, it must be my responsibility. I must have done something wrong to create this situation. And that, I mean, that is a combination that's your demise as a spiritualist. You cannot win with a narcissist. And I really wish I would have written something out because I had many things to say. Um, and what I've so I took that stance for a greater part of a year, just trying to be like, okay, I'm going to play the middleman between her and the other coworker. I'm going to be Switzerland. I'm going to understand this one's point of view, this one's way of being, this one's, I'm going to be all, oh, understanding, blah, blah, blah. But I, what I was doing is, as spiritual people, we do this. I was so open, and I am naturally, like many people, empathic, right? I want to feel and find the goodness in the other person. I just can't see that there's no hope. Well, I have to tell you, um, in the last 2 months, 6 to 8 weeks, what has happened in my interaction with the narcissist, with my boss, is I actually had, because I have really been reaching breaking point. She did three separate things that broke me, but it also woke me up. I mean, woke me up like I cannot believe. And it's just like the spiritual journey. Until you have full body realization, it's like a different form of awareness, while where you see and experience the awakening or the narcissist in action, and your body gets it to where it either, elates you with the spiritual awakening or totally breaks you, which is what happened to me. You won't get it. You won't get it. So I've had my narcissistic awakening, and now I can see more, so much more clearly. And I want to say, um, if you are even in a relationship that's not working for you, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to really be a narcissistic relationship, but um, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Um, what I realized, first of all, in this relationship, what I started seeing in myself, because it comes on so slowly, it's so insidious. The narcissist is a virus. And to me, I feel like they're the original vampires. Like maybe vampires, the myth of vampires was created to speak of these narcissistic personalities. And I don't, what I saw, and I've said this many times on these videos, when I originally started there and was originally investigating this, I saw the consciousness of this person, and there was no soul there. It was completely overtaken by some kind of being, reptilian being, whatever. But there is no, I guess it depends on the degree of narcissism. But if you're dealing with a narcissist and you're a spiritualist, there's no soul there. There's no, mm, it's being overtaken by another energy entity, and you cannot win this battle. I think that's the point of this thing. You cannot win, and you have to get the fuck out. However, what I realize is getting the fuck out is harder than I ever thought. And anyway, it so broke me over the last 2 months. Three things that she did where I was in full awareness. And one in particular, I'll share with you the final straw where I was like, this is kind of a non-soul human functioning here. I was this working condition is so strenuous, like it's horrendous. It's almost like, child labor. You don't get breaks. She times you going to the bathroom. There's no time for drinking water, nothing. And when I'm working in the kitchen with my coworker, we are nonstop for 7, 8, 9 hours straight, right? And we're working in a kitchen that's consistently 87 to 90 degrees heat, and we're exhausted, absolutely exhausted. We don't drink enough water. And at least once a week, the cook will cry from total exhaustion and just and just being mentally, our nervous system so shot by having to deal with this person. But I ended up crying uh, about 2 months ago. I was just saying, I'm so exhausted. I can't take that. I'm crying. He's crying at work. Well, my boss has made a point of bringing that up all the time. And in a way that, she's making fun of you, but also like twisting it to make you feel very shamed about it, and not could care less about your health and well-being. Like something's wrong with you for crying. What's the matter? You're doing, why are you crying? You're fine. Whatever. You're making a big deal. And I was trying to explain, I think it was last week or the week before, I can't remember. I was trying to have a conversation with her. And in the conversation, I was trying to relay to her that, her constantly bringing up that I was crying feels like it's, I feel like you're making fun of me, like you're making me feel awfully guilty and embarrassed for doing that. I kept trying to, 3 times in a span of maybe 2 minutes, I kept trying to bring this up. And every time I tried to express a feeling to her about how she made me feel, her, uh, it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's as if I didn't exist and she couldn't hear a word I was saying. In fact, she was looking in another direction, didn't respond. But the second the conversation switched to the next little topic, she was right there with me. 3 times this happened, and I could see it clearly. There is no, there is no capacity of the narcissist to hear and understand. It can't even register when someone wants to share something of a feeling value. Or to, I guess in some way, I guess I was wanting to blame her in some way. Of course, yeah. Yeah, can't do it. You cannot win. But I could see, it was almost like I was stepping out of time, and it was so weird. Um, yeah. And I got it. And there's just no hope. You cannot get through a narcissist. Now, what else do I want to say? I want to say, if you have someone in your life that is dealing with a potential narcissist, or says, that they think whatever, they've got a narcissist in their lives. Yeah, I have beautiful, well-meaning friends and everything. And and now I understand women in abusive relationships, or anybody in an abusive relationship, when people say just leave, because I have had that thought myself when I'm thinking about other people. Just leave. Just Why can't you just leave? And um and please, if someone in your life is saying they're dealing with a narcissist and they're having a difficult time leaving, please don't say to them, "Oh, you just need to quit that job or just leave that." You need to take care of yourself. You need to think better of yourself. These things will not help. I don't know why. I guess my little hand is up. Um, will not help. And may I suggest you do some Googling and YouTubing and learn all you can about what narcissists do to the other person. And I'm going to link in the description below 2 videos by Lise LeBlanc, talking about like I can't remember what is the title, 7 things that happen to your brain when you're dealing with a narcissist. And I tell you, and then there's like 7 things what happen to your emotional body when dealing with the narcissist. And here's a big universal confirmation synchronicity that happened last week. It was like after what I saw, like the final straw, and I was like, holy shit. This lady truly, I get it now. My whole body gets. I've had the realization, the awakening. I am dealing with a narcissist. This is a semi-demonic entity. There's no soul. There's nothing there that you can work with as a spiritual, nothing. And you got to get out. And uh, I was like spinning because I thought, what's and also let me backtrack. What I was able to do is see the progression of my personality and my egoic structure. What happened during that time is I became the worst version of myself and even added aspects of myself that are not even from me. Her judgments, her like I and I mentioned this to the cook, and she goes, I was just thinking the same thing. I said to her, I don't even recognize myself anymore. I'm not the person I used to be. And the cook said, oh my God, I was just thinking the same thing. So the cook and I are very empathetic. We are so in tune because we're so together. And I have to talk about another little incident. I know I didn't finish my other sentence, but being this aware, finally, after my awakening, here we are, the cook and I are having fun. We do our best. We are really in sync and we're laughing and we're in our little bubble. And in comes the boss, and oh, she's saying something like so shitty to us, but in it, like, oh, isn't that like making us feel guilty for her spending $1,000 on fixing the air conditioning so that we can maybe get down to 80 degrees in the kitchen while we're working. It was, and it was so unbelievable how narcissists can do this. And she came in to blah, 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 blah. She, whatever. She's trying to sound like she wants to be helpful, blah, blah, blah. But when you're sensitive, like we have become and we are, and as spiritual people we are, you can feel the energy, the true energy. And man, when she left, I got so dizzy and I was like, do you feel that? I feel so dizzy and nauseous. And she goes, oh my God, I do too. So that even being in the field of a narcissist will cause you illness. I know is it Ramani talks about the physical illnesses, the effects of living and working with a narcissist, for example. Like it is a physical thing. It really affects you. Anyway, where was I going? Oh, yeah. So these videos. So after I had that final awakening where I like totally get it, my head was spinning and to say like, why can't I still leave? Why? And I was just like beyond myself, like having like a little breakdown in my psyche, which in a way is a good thing. And yeah, this was Monday or something, I can't remember. But of course, it was my day off. And so I was trying to do a to-do list. And on my to-do list was I have to take my car in because I have a gas leak. And, while I'm doing that, I decide, okay, I don't know what's happening. I'm totally breaking. Like my brain feels dead. I can't make any decisions. I can't think straight. Um, what's wrong with me? So I decided, I think I was Googling narcissist, but what came up was that video by Lise LeBlanc, seven things that happen to your brain. And, of course, every single item, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. But at the very end, or maybe it was on no, it was on the brain one. At the very end, talk about universal synchronicity or confirmation. She said, it's like driving a car that has a gas leak. And I mean, I was like, thank you, God, for confirming that what I'm experiencing is a thing and that it's not me, because this whole time, like you said earlier, the spiritualists will blame themselves. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm an awakened person. I've been working on myself. I'm removing aspects of my ego. I've been doing all the trauma work, blah, 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 blah. Why have I become such an awful person, particularly in that environment? Awful. Where I don't even recognize who I am anymore. And that video just confirmed it. It was like God saying, you get it. Anyway, so yeah. The spiritualist and the narcissist, the spiritualist will not win. And please, anybody who's dealing with this, I have utmost empathy for you. Um, yeah, but you're not dealing with a human souled entity. This is something, yeah, at all costs you got to get away from. And I know I sound like the friend that's saying you just got to leave, um, but you do. And yeah, I guess that's all I want to say. Okay, all for now. Bye.